this. Oh, welcome to another lesson. Today is Tuesday, and everyone knows that one of the major elements to creating longevity for your career is money management, specifically creating a budget. And that's what we're going to focus on today so you can take back control over your finances. As always, I'm Thomas J. Beleza, so please like, comment, and share this video, along with subscribing for future content on how to be successful in your career, specifically the entertainment industry. What I like to do is I like to keep these lessons pretty short, so anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes is what you're going to get. You're more than welcome to ask questions. If this video is already posted after being live, just leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them or answer it in a new video later on. What we're going to focus is basically some elements about creating the budget, and then as a bonus, I'm going to show you an example of a budget and why you do it that way and what you can get out of it. So creating a budget is important for financial control because your career is based on what? Money. You need money to come in to pay the bills, and you need money to fuel your activities. If you're an actor, a musician, somebody who owns a business like a donut shop, you need finances to pay for that. You need finances to fuel your life and also the venture. So where does that start? It starts with budgeting. Once you understand what money is coming in and what money is going out and controlling that, and then surviving by living off of caps, you will start creating opportunity and control over your finances. Now, how do we figure out a budget? Well, to figure out a budget, first, you have to note your net income. What is the net income? Net equals amount minus cost of X. So it might be the taxes, your unemployment, things like that. So every paycheck gets, depending on what state you're on, like New York, you might get New York State plus, New York City taxes taken out of your check. If you're in a union, you'll get some union dues out of that, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to know what your net income is. So basically, what money can you play with? For those wondering, gross equals amount before X is removed. A lot of times, I have clients that will say, what's the difference between net and gross? Well, there you go. Net is the money after all expenses taken out. Gross is the money before. Now, once you understand what you have coming in, you have a number, okay? And if that is your average over the 12 months, and you could do that simply by going to your bank statements, looking at how much you brought in over the course of the last 12 months, and just divide it by 12. And that is your average monthly intake, okay? Or your average monthly income. And if you know that, that's the number you're trying to play with. So when you're figuring out a budget, and this is something that clients usually say to me, they go, hey, I don't make enough money to budget. But the thing is, your budget is supposed to be designed based on the money you make. So if you don't make enough money to have a budget, that means you are spending more money than you're capable of. Now, there are variables to that statement. We're going to just generalize it to say, whatever you make, you should be trying to work to turn your budget into an affordable monthly average overhead based on your income, okay? And that's why we figure out our net income first. Let me get a little sip here. I know, today's soda instead of water. I know it's bad for you, but it tastes so good. All right. Now you want to track your spending. This is where it's going to take a little elbow grease and a little effort on your part, okay? There are two different kinds of expenses. There are fixed expenses and there are variable expenses. Fixed expenses are basically rent, car insurance, your phone, utilities, things that are coming in no matter what, right? And usually your fixed expenses are the same every time. However, like with your phone actually is affected by, say, state taxes. So your phone might be $64 one month, but then $66 the next month, and that's just the tax. Variable expenses are all on you. That's your food, that's your going out to have fun, that's clothing you buy. All right, so those two expenses are there. Now, some you can control when it comes to fixed expenses, and others you completely control, which are the variable expenses. And we will talk about that in the example and how to break that down. I'm just explaining what you need, what the elements are to basically create your budget. So you need the money you bring in, and you need the money you spend. And again, you take your bank statements and you do 12 months. You go from full 12 months before. You organize it into columns. You want to keep track of every expense, all right? So you don't want to just know the total amount of money you spend, even though that is something you want to know. But you also, in addition, want to know what on each item you spend, and that we'll go over here on that. You want to set, once you understand what you are spending, and once you understand what kind of money you have coming in, you need to set spending caps. Caps are the things that tell you, hey, you are either getting close to spending more than you allocated for, or you spent over what you allocated for. What's the point of a cap if you're not going to follow it? You should be focusing on what is reasonable. You know, don't starve yourself. Allow yourself to have strong caps that work for you, okay? But the important part is you want to budget for needs over wants. And what's the major difference? A need is you need to pay the rent. You need to eat. You need to, you know, have transportation available to you, right? A want is like, well, I need a car. Well, you do need a car, but you don't need a car that's $400 or $500 a month, all right? Just for the car payment, okay? You do need clothes, but you don't need Versace. You need a phone, but you don't need an iPhone that's $1,200, right? So there is a difference between a need and a want. Yes, there are needs that we have to spend money on, and there are wants that we have to earn. So budgeting is all about creating that average monthly overhead, and then over time, you can expand that overhead that'll allow you or earn you the right to ultimately buy things you want, okay? All right. Now, once you understand your needs over your wants, and you start saying, well, what is it I want? What do I need? Focus on those needs in the beginning. Once you focus on those needs, you're starting to create opportunities for controlling your finances. So that takes us to trimming your expenses. There's going to come a point where what you are doing with your budget and figuring out what your needs are, you're going to have to trim your expenses. An example of this is I had a client a long time ago who spent $100 going out and eating. He paid for breakfast, dinner every day. It adds up. And it was like, well, why are you going out eating and drinking all the time? Why don't you cut it down to once a month, go out drinking with your buddies? If you want to take control of your budget, you got to start thinking responsibly with your spending. Just because you have the money doesn't mean you spend that money. And what you're trying to do is make a budget that's average overhead, live within, creating a surplus to afford that month on multiple. So like if you didn't have work, you have in the bank to cover those months. But there comes a certain point, you have X amount of months in the bank because you're in control of your budget, your money starts getting organized, and that money that gets organized starts rewarding you. And then once it's a certain amount of months, you can actually take that 4 months, shrink it down. Now you've increased your monthly average overhead. Oh, that's another video. All right. I'm so sorry. So spending caps, the trimming, budgeting for your needs over your wants. Now we move to adjust your habits as needed. This to me is the part that it's based on you. It's based on you making a choice, okay? When you change your habits or adjust your habits, you're in control. When you control your habits based on things instead of things controlling your habits, you're in control. You need to say yes and no to certain things. So yes, you need a phone, but no, you do not need the $1,200 iPhone just because everyone has it. Trust me, a phone works great until it doesn't work, and then you think about replacing it. It's all about understanding the sacrifices in the beginning for creating your budget so you can succeed in the career of your desire, be it you own a donut shop, you're an entertainer, or you even have a job, a career where you're like, I just want to have a great career, but I also want to afford my life. So even if you have a quote unquote stable job and you're working 9 to 5, you still need to budget properly. You still need to say, just because I have that money coming in doesn't mean I have the right to spend it. I have to create caps. I have to organize my money. I have to set money aside, et cetera, et cetera. And you allow milestones to reward you, okay? So physically looking at your numbers, the reason we also create a budget and we work on it, I like to work on my budget anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. That means like I'll do it basically every Sunday, Wednesday, and like Friday. right? And the reason I do that is because I want to physically look at my numbers. I want to constantly be in control of what I am seeing. What am I spending? What am I earning? Things like that. Am I getting close to some spending caps? It's important. The other thing is I usually have my phone with me and I have a budgeting app in there, or I just keep track of everything. I say, these are my caps, right? Physically seeing your numbers move keeps you in control, because if you're just, money's coming out of your bank, or you're just swiping that credit card or the debit card, you're basically not in control because you're not seeing where the money is going, right? And when I was younger, when I was 18, 19, I would do that. I would send somebody a check and I would write it in my booklet, right? But not until after they cashed it, right? Because that was a bad habit for me. My habit was, no one showed me that in school. You got to keep track of what you spend, right? But if you think that's bad, right? Where you're like, oh, why wouldn't you write down that you sent the check? How often do you write down that you spent money on your debit card? If you swipe your debit card, that's the same as putting a check to somebody, because you have to wait for them to cash a check, and the debit has to wait to go in, or it gets registered on your bank statement. But this is the thing, you're not looking at it. And if you're not, the same as you not writing, or me in that situation, me not writing down that I had sent a check out. It's important to look at your numbers. That's where budgeting starts, is being aware. All right, so now that we went over that quick overview, the quick overview is you got to note how much money you have coming in, the net, basically after all the expenses out of the check. Again, those are taxes and stuff like that. Then you want to track your spending. Okay, both of these you want to do over the course of 12 months prior, and then average it out, and that's what your average expenses on those things. When you're tracking your spending, which we're going to go over next, you want to have categories of what the expense is, plus you want to have the total of each month specifically and break it, right? You want to cap your spending habits. So once you start seeing these average monthly expenses, you start saying, all right, where am I going to cut? Where am I going to stay, right? As you realize that, you need to adjust your habits. Your habits are what puts you in control. The more control you have over your habits, the stronger you'll be, right? And then, of course, physically look at your numbers. All right, so let's take a look. I'll move this for everybody who's watching on the Instagram. Oop. I know that it's reverse, but before we get to this, remember, you could subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch live on YouTube and rewatch this video at your convenience. At your convenience. And please like, comment, and share this video, and subscribe for future content on how to be successful in your career. And of course, that career would be specifically within the entertainment industry. However, I do advise the same information that works for running a business like a donut shop or a veterinarian place or whatever. Real estate agents, I deal with them all the time, right? All right, here we go. Here we go. So how do I traditionally write out my budget? Well, the first thing is I always want my date. Okay, who doesn't want a date, right? I'm saying, no date, candy. Okay, all right, no jokes. Okay, you write out your date, and then you have a description of the description is where it came from. So if I eat like at Joe's Pizza would be the description. The item would be, what is it for? In this situation, Joe's Pizza right here would be for lunch. So on 3/15/2018, I went to, by the way, this is 2021, but it's just an example. How old is this video? It's brand new today, I tell you. Okay, this is happening live. When is now? Now. When will then be then? Soon. Okay. 3/15/2018, Joe's Pizza at lunch. And then over here, food out. I like to call it food out, right? Groceries is food I bring in. Food out is cost of, like, if I eat out, right? So $8.75. Very simple. And so that's a date, description, item is what it's for. You could say lunch, grocery, a meeting, whatever it could be. You could even explain something like Amazon I have here as a description. Where is the expense from? Amazon, that's the description. What was the items? Towels, right? Paper towels or regular towels, whatever you want it to be. Okay. All right. Then each category is extremely important. This is the part that actually influences your budget. Without these columns, you're not really controlling your budget. You're just sort of like, I have a budget, right? So if I have a dog expense, I want it. 3/12/18 BB dog food, 4 dog food, $150. Yeah, I know. I buy raw dog food. It's very healthy for the dog. Anyway, this isn't it. This is not a real number. It's actually more than that. It's $300. Anyway, so the dog food is $150. Okay, and then utilities, right? Utilities is the thing. Utilities are anything like your phone expense, gas, electricity, things like that, right? So if you notice, if I'm going through my bank statement, the columns are being created by the costs. So whatever the expense is, I also keep track of my income the same way, right? And it'll be on the same form. So as I'm going through the bank statement, I'm creating columns, therefore creating what my greatest expenses are. Now, obviously, the more you spend on a particular column, you want that to be the first column. So as you're going through your budget, you can start moving columns over to the left once you're done. And you say, all right, I got to keep an eye on these because these are my greatest expenses or my most consistent expenses. I spend a lot of money on these things, right? And then grocery store. Now, I want to show you something very important. The reason I have grocery and food out is because this is a real example of how food works, right? So on 310, I spent $115 on groceries, okay? But on 3/4, 315, and then 315 at night, I spent $77.25, okay? So I went out 3 times and spent $77.25. Why? Because one of them was $60. I bought food for me. This is an example, but this is basically what it's like. I bought food for me and my friends, or me and my girlfriend, whatever, right? My wife, whatever you buy. If you pay for the whole meal, it's gonna be like $60, and I'm probably being generous with it. Okay. And I went to the diner, and you know, the diner always, you know, especially us Long Island boys, people from Brooklyn, you know, Brooklyn kids. And yes, Brooklyn is on Long Island. I don't want to hear it. All right. Okay. So if you notice, $115 for groceries versus $77 for 3 nights. Now, this is probably, I probably would get another $300 for the month in for groceries. But if that's the case, let's say I buy groceries 4 times in a month. All right, so that's what is that? This 460. It's 460, right? But if I keep consistent with how I'm buying food, which I'm obviously buying food out greater than I'm buying food from the grocery store. So that's where you would start saying, hey, I got to adjust my habits and I got to create spending caps. Maybe I won't buy food out X amount of times. I'll focus. For a good example is if I'm spending, say, $400 on groceries, but I'm spending like $500 eating out, which can happen. If I eat, you know, you buy enough food. Look at this. This is $77. This is only 3 meals. That's 2 lunches and a dinner. Now imagine I had lunch every day and I had dinner every day out, right? It's expensive. So you say, you know what? I'm going to limit my food out to $100, and I'll just add another $100 to my budget for groceries. So you think, well, my groceries went up though, but you just saved $200 because you're spending crazy money on eating out, or $300. You got to be smart about this, okay? You're in control and you create the columns. Now, these numbers, what I do is I like to divide them by 12. So after I have the 12 months done, basically at the end of the year, or taking a full year, you want to, I personally divide the total of each column, okay, by 12. Okay, and then all the columns get added up together, and then I add that into one big thing. And this is my average monthly overhead altogether. Once I know what my average monthly overhead is, I can adjust expenses and caps to lower my costs per month. Because if I know what my net income is, and I'm spending close to or over it, I have to start making real adjustments. Those real adjustments allow me to say, all right, last year I spent far too much money on average per year. Let me adjust my spending habits. Now, again, I said that fixed expenses, there are limited areas you can make habit changes to change your expense, right? And then, of course, the variable expenses, just, oh, I'll just eat out. I'll do food out less, right? Well, how do we adjust a fixed expense? There's a couple ways you could do that, okay? First of all, with your electric and things like that, sometimes you could call up your electric company and get different rates. You could even have, like in different states, there are different power companies, and they'll give you different rates, right? That's just how it is. The The same thing with your phone. You can have your phone cost adjusted based on certain needs and certain requirements. All right. Or like for me, right? I have, I have Prime, Amazon Prime, I have Hulu, I have Netflix, I have whatever, right? Do I need all of them? Right? Because they add up. They add up. You could be spending $60 to $100 a month just on these external things. You're like, well, I have to. I need to watch. No. You want to watch Netflix. Well, I need leisure. I need something, right? Well, that's where the sacrifice comes in, because do you want these things badly to the point where you believe you need them, or do you want to have a successful career and be in control of your overhead? But this is the thing. Once you're in control of your overhead and you're able to start organizing your money, eventually your overhead will increase and allow you or earn you the right to start with those extra expenses that you want. And that's the way you create a strong budget. Obviously, if you have any questions on this, I also have a template, by the way, of how I handle my budgets. So if anyone wants that, just leave a comment below, and I'll reach out to you, and we'll exchange emails, and I'll just send it to you. You don't have to sign up for anything or whatever the case. I have the template, so whatever. If you need it, I'll send it to you. But don't leave your email in the comments, because then everyone will be sending emails. Just message me, say you're interested, and then from there, I'll contact you, and privately you can give me your email. All right, so that's it. Again, creating a budget. There you go. Look at that. 21 minutes. We did good with that one. We kicked some butt. All right, anyway, I'm Thomas J. Beleza. Please, again, like, comment, and share this video to spread the knowledge, right? So we can work together, grow together, and rise together. And subscribe for future content on how to be successful in your career, specifically the entertainment industry. Anyway, thank you again so much. Blessings. Be good. See you next time.